Welcome to the Clopen Effect, a retail podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us today. I'm your host, Meredith.
And I'm your host, Cass.
Let's have some fun. So, episode 11.
Woo!
We're doing
We have a
good.
special guest here today with us, too.
What?
Ooh, hello,
Hi,
Drew.
Hello, hello.
You sound so deep and manly.
We're all like, ha, and he's like, hello.
hello, ladies.
Well, I mean, I always go the other way too. I used to do that when I was in the
No,
deli.
don't do
Oh,
it.
it was so much fun.
Don't.
If
All
there was
right,
a
let's
customer
hear
come
it.
up and be super snobby, I'm like, well, hi, how you doing today? it was kind of like a deli roulette that we used to do. We always joke around like our last day working, that's what we had to do. Every time you had a new customer, just pick a different accent every time. You know, the first person comes up, hi, I'd like a pound of ham. All right, I'll get that right away for you. Next person comes up, well, how y'all doing today? What can I get for you today? Oh, it was the best fun ever.
Oh
It's
my
just
God.
entertainment for yourself to keep your
That's
day
kind
going,
of like what
too.
we did. That's kind of like what we did at the self scans, changing the voices. you know?
Yeah, same thing. Same basic thing. But the problem is we have to stand in front of them the whole time.
Yeah.
And they're waiting in line, so they know
Oh
that
my
none of those are
God.
your real voice, but then they're also sitting there trying to go, what is their
Yeah.
real voice?
Yeah. Or which one am I going to get?
Oh
Yeah.
God, that's so
Put in
funny.
the Russian accent every now and then. It's
I
a lot
never
of fun.
tried to like match anybody's voice. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
I think I might start doing that at my stores.
Oh, well, the first day that Kayla worked, that's what happened. I was doing a reset in a deli, and she texted me, and she's like, oh, I'm in the store. I'm like, oh, the reset's taking a little longer. Just swing on back on the deli and just wait a couple minutes. I can talk to you and chat while I finish up. Well, there was a person working that day, and I cannot remember her name now. She's going to kill
we
me.
don't need
'cause-
to name names.
Yeah. But
Unless they know about the podcast, they listen and they love us.
but she actually wound up making managers. Probably shouldn't say her name anyway. But she was working way up still at the time, and she was in the back room, and I don't know why, but we started talking, and she said something, and I'm like, oh, you're gonna make me take my drawl out. Don't keep talking like
no.
that. But she did. And so I was sitting there talking. I brought out my full hick drawl. I'm half hick from my mom's side. I can go 0 to redneck in about 2 seconds. It was great. And then Kayla walks in the back, and she sees me, and I'm talking full hick. And I just turn, I'm like, oh, hi, Kayla. I'm Drew. Nice to meet you. And she's like, what
What the
just
hell just
happened?
happened?
It was great.
She's a good one to play jokes on.
Because
She
she
is
had
a good-
never met me before. She didn't know what my real voice was. And she
Yeah.
was like, which one was his real
Oh my
voice?
God.
And then I go out to the sales floor to get something because we needed a container or something. And I still had the hick drawl on, and this customer's staring me down. It was so much fun.
Because you were at a city store, I'm sure.
No, I was in the suburb. I was at the close one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's so funny.
So can you tell us a little bit about your background?
So I started out in the lots doing that thing that everybody hates called pushing carts.
Okay.
Ooh, the
But
hardest job
honestly-
in the store.
But it has its perks because every now and then, you know, you get that really nice spring day when it's 70 degrees,
Yeah.
light breeze, and all you want to do is be outside.
Yeah.
And then there's like the winter days with 20 degrees below zero
Yeah.
plus a wind chill and a
Yeah.
tornado coming in.
Yeah.
And then it's slightly less fun. But I got to tell you, it's the secret. Everybody thinks pushing carts in the snow is the worst. It's not.
What's
Because
the
those
worst?
carts turn
That's what
on
I
a
always
dime.
thought.
Because in the snow, there's no traction. You know, it's so slick. You can just
Oh.
donut those carts around in the
Oh my
parking lot like
God.
it's no
Okay.
big deal. It's
That
so
makes
much fun.
sense.
It's just the bitter cold is the days that suck.
How many
Yeah.
years did you do that?
I pushed carts for 2 years.
I was
and
your
then-
boss. Wasn't I your boss?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think you were.
For a little bit,
right
anyways.
towards the end
Yeah.
before I got smart and was like, maybe I should move inside.
Maybe I should find a new job in this place.
Well, yeah, because, you know, you had to be 18 to work inside because,
Yeah.
you know, slicers are difficult
Yeah.
and dangerous and
Yeah.
everything like that, according to some people.
Yeah.
But so I finally moved inside, and I'm like, because we had a store where it was really, really busy store. You know, you could constantly get called up to the front to
Yes.
help ring people out or, you know, bag or anything just to get people through
We'd
the
always
lines
be like
faster.
number 1 or number 2 in the market for our area.
And so I thought to myself, I don't want to do that. So what's the only department I can go to that's not going to happen? And I'm like, I'm going to go to Deli.
there you go.
They have never pulled anybody out of Deli, ever.
Yeah.
I'm going to go do that. So I did.
Then you got to deal with some people, though, huh?
I mean, yeah, but
We've talked about this.
Mhm.
I'd like 3/8 of a pound of shaved ham.
which is fine, honestly. Most people in Deli do figure that out. It doesn't happen very often.
Do
that
you know
they
what
order
is
like
it?
that.
Point what for 3/8 of a pound?
He'll know. Look at him thinking. He'll know.
Because it's 12.5 per 16.
We have,
So
we have the professional
That is
here.
like, that was just like a bunch of blah, blah, blah that just came out of your mouth.
30.375, by the way, is the official answer. Because
Let's just throw fractions this whole hour at him and see what he comes back with.
Wait, no, it's not 0.375 because that's 3/16 is 375, isn't it?
Sure.
Yep.
Because
I'm agreeing with everything he says.
see, the problem is we have to memorize based on 16ths, not on eighths, because every now and then you'll have someone that's making something out of a recipe, especially if it's a fancier imported cheese.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, yeah, can I have 6 ounces of this? And I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So we actually, by the end of it, just had a cheat sheet in the back.
Oh,
and it was just like,
okay.
Yeah.
if they order in ounces, this is the decimal. If they have fractions, this is the decimal.
Oh, see?
Yeah.
We thought they just had to like.
This is why we
take a
asked him to
couple
come on. He's got all the
slices.
secrets.
I mean, there's more secrets than that. Like, if you want a quarter pound, it's usually just 5 slices.
Yeah,
If you
okay.
haven't-
See, I was talking to you about that because you have worked in the deli, and I'm like, well, how many slices is a half a pound? You're like, I don't know.
Yep,
10.
I'm terrible at it.
9 and 10 or 11,
I
depending
mean,
on
it's
the
been
size.
a long time since you've had to go work in the deli.
Yeah,
so,
well,
yeah.
yeah, it's been a while.
It's
Well,
just
last year,
amazing.
but
Yeah.
I never really helped customers.
Right.
So.
You would like slice meat to make party trays. So
Exactly.
You just
yeah,
knew
or
you
grab
needed
and go
40
or
slices
whatever it
or
is.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, 40, because we never went over on those.
Yeah,
Definitely.
right.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things like, who's really going to yell at you for it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The profit margin on those things is insane. And a lot of times, if it's a tray, it's usually for something important.
Right.
And a lot of times, the orders we got in were for funerals.
Yes.
So I'm like, yeah, we can give them a couple extra
Yeah.
slices. Like,
because
who's
no
gonna yell
better
at you?
way to cure your sadness than to eat, you know.
Yeah,
mean,
and
what-
have extra food.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
extra.
sodium loaded protein. Like, what could
Yes.
possibly go wrong with that?
Yeah.
You know, like
Everybody's
that's the
drinking a
comfort
lot of
food.
water because they're crying and eating salt.
Basically, so much fun
So
there.
many years in Deli, huh?
5 years in the deli at the old place where we all met.
Yeah.
And then I kind of did a year and a half of like super specialty high end delis where instead of getting the nice normal deli I was used to working in, they're like, oh, this deli's really bad. Go here and fix it for a day or
Oh
two.
wow, yes.
And man, like, you have not seen bad delis until you've been told this is the worst one out of 50. Go here and
Oh
fix
my
it.
God.
wow.
gosh.
And you just show up and nothing's been done because
Oh,
they
yeah.
don't have labor or what's the reasoning?
Yeah, and I'll ask them, I'm like,
leadership.
oh, do you have this in the back so I can go to fill it? And they're like, no, I didn't order it. It doesn't sell here. I'm like, well, maybe if you order it, it would sell better.
Gosh.
Like, I never
That's
understood that
the
principle.
worst.
I was like, oh, it never sells. I'm like, I can view your order history. You know that, right? Like, you haven't ordered it in 3 months.
Yeah, how do you
That's
know?
why it doesn't sell.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
So much fun in there. But
I hated it when people would get like that, like so stuck on it, like, no, it doesn't sell.
Yeah.
Well,
Too
let's
bad.
just sell it to them. You know what I mean?
It's you know what, and I never understood why it was their decision to decide. If corporate's telling you here are the SKUs that, or here are the items that
Right.
we're gonna have, you let them decide.
Right.
You still put it out, or I
Right.
don't know. I
And
don't
when they
understand. I don't
see-
understand the thinking of that.
When they see for 6 months straight you threw away the whole box,
then
they'll
they would
sell
know.
it. Yeah.
But of course, you get in trouble for your own shrink. I know
Yeah.
I did in the bakery.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
Shrink
maybe
equals
you did,
throw away
but-
for anybody that doesn't know.
I also had the sass level, though, that they never really did that to me.
yeah, true.
Because I'd be like, I don't care if my shrink's high. I'm still making profit.
Yeah. That's kind of how I was.
Well,
And
there
I
is
mean,
a
not that
balance.
I had
there's,
that,
there's a
but
balance with
that's-
that.
But
Mhm.
it's
I
the
had a couple
secret.
good bosses
Yeah, it
that like
is.
they didn't care about labor, they didn't care about nothing. They just wanted stuff done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they wanted it done right. And it's like, okay, well, if you want it done right, I'm writing the schedule 300 hours
Yep.
over. And they'd be like, I don't care, send people home if you can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
exactly.
know? And then you get the other extreme where they're like, nope, you
Yeah.
get 150 hours and that's it. You know, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, hope you're ready to cashier, buddy.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's one of the benefits of a deli, though, is there's a lot of room for error. And I mean, I've said it before with the stores we're in now, and I'm like, I would absolutely hate to work a slow store. But we were a busy
Yeah.
store. We had
Right.
labor for days.
Right.
We had that constant problem of we just could never keep enough people on the payroll. And let me
Yeah.
tell you, deli did not keep payroll.
No.
In the 5 years that you were at our place that we met, did you travel?
Oh,
Or was it all just in the one?
twice.
Okay. So you didn't have
So-
to travel that much.
No, I got in an argument with my manager at the time, who's I know listens to this podcast. Shout out. You might come up later if I bring up that story. And
I was kind of thinking about having her on next.
yeah, let me go first, and then she'll be like, "All right, to rebuttal Drew."
Then
Oh.
you'll all know.
Yeah, me and my old manager had such a love-hate relationship. When we first met, I couldn't stand her, and I was just the evilest person to her.
Aw.
And then I don't know what happened. It was just like a switch, and then we suddenly got along perfectly great. And then I wound up training under her and moving up into the management position and all that stuff. But right at the start, we really did not get along. And then there was a point where I'm like, what's she gonna do? Fire me? Let's have some fun with
Yeah,
this.
right. She's like, you're like, you need me. You can't even keep people back here.
I mean, my favorite one for
I
that.
show up.
Yeah.
Basically, my favorite one is we had a person, and I don't know what possessed them to do this. They hired some. She was just in from Hawaii. I mean, she lived in Hawaii, which great place to live, but also it's island lifestyle. No
Yeah.
one's in a hurry to do anything.
Right.
I'm like, I got
That's
a
where I wanna
40-minute
live.
wait in line for this deli. You got to hurry up when you're in this deli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on her third day working there, she told everybody, she's like, I got to go to the bathroom. We still are waiting for her to come back.
Oh no.
That was 7 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
They found another person to replace her.
those
She
kind of
she had used to
people.
work at a different deli, so like, oh, she'll probably last for a bit. And then so she gets there, and on her third day at the end of her shift, I'm like, congratulations, you lasted longer than the last
Oh
person.
my gosh.
Which probably should have been a red flag to her, but she worked there for a couple of years before she wound
Yeah.
up quitting. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
our deli was very busy.
It was very
I mean, you got
busy.
thrown into the fire. Like,
Yeah.
It was like, here, you're going to train for about an hour. All right, go help your
Yeah.
customers.
You know how to
So-
slice meat? Cool.
Cool. There you go. Yep.
and that's what I love to do. I always pushed them. I'm like, I begged to train them because I'm
Yep.
like, if they can't put up with me on a Tuesday, they're never going to handle Sunday.
Yeah.
And let
And
me
Tuesdays
tell-
were the slowest days there, right?
Typically
That's usually when
speaking,
I
yeah.
would
Yeah.
shop
Yeah.
because no one would bother me. I mean, maybe I'd have to put up with a couple outs or holes, whatever you want to call them, because they wouldn't replenish from the weekend. But
Right.
whatever, there
Who
was nobody
cares?
around. It was quiet.
We always talk about how we're not picky. If we need roasted tomatoes, we'll just get non-roasted tomatoes.
Whatever.
We don't care.
Yep. If it means not running into somebody or,
Yeah.
I'm doing it. So.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, though, people. I'm gonna tell you though, Sunday, worst day ever. I don't know why. We have a couple of theories.
Well, everybody was shopping for the work week.
I have a
School
theory, but I'm going to see if
week
it's the same as yours. Go ahead.
So I mean, Saturday, busy day. Friday
Yeah.
night, busy day. But Sunday, everybody was grouchy. I
Yeah.
don't know why. And there's kind of twin prevailing theories here. A lot of times it was either A, they're very mad because it's Sunday and the week's about to start and they don't want to go back to work.
Right.
But the other theory is it's all those people that were supposed to go to church that morning and didn't. They went grocery shopping instead.
Oh my gosh.
Because I got to tell you, or the ultimate irony is all the ones where it's like you knew they just came from church. They were dressed in their Sunday best.
they had
all
to
their-
behave themselves for 2 hours, and then they
Yeah.
get to the store and they're like, "Well, I'm done
Yeah.
behaving myself."
Yeah.
That's my theory.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh man, Sunday people
I like the
were
meme.
The
It's
worst.
like the lady all dressed up, and she's like, "Just got out of church. Let's go degrade the waitress at the local restaurant."
I also agree with you on the
memories.
Sunday shoppers, though. I think those people
Yeah.
are the ones that Friday nights, those are people going out
Right.
or
Yes.
meeting someone or going on a
Right.
date or cooking dinner. Saturdays a little bit too. They're probably getting ready for parties.
Grilling, yeah.
Grilling,
Yeah.
absolutely. Sundays are the people that, okay, my Monday
My
through
life
Friday's
sucks.
coming up. Yep,
Yeah.
here we go. I
My
have
life
to buy
sucks. I'm gonna be mean to everybody at
Yeah.
the grocery store.
and a
Call
pu-
me Cass and slice me 12 pieces of ham or whatever because I'm going to make 6 sandwiches.
public service announcement: never go grocery shopping the last day before school starts.
Oh
Yeah,
my
Because that's all the
Yeah.
parents that the kids waited until it's like, hey, school starts Monday and I need this and this and this and this and this and I don't have
Yeah.
any lunches for the week.
Yeah.
Oh man, they are never in a good mood.
Which this year was quite different for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
true. This,
We'll say.
I mean,
I think I saw so many school supplies just sitting.
Yes.
Yeah.
This year.
And they're all on clearance now.
Yeah, because
I
nobody
should probably
needed
pick some up.
Mm-hmm.
Never know when you need a good pencil.
I know,
Yeah.
no kidding.
Got my crayons. When I'm bored at work. As if that ever happens.
Yeah, we were just talking about how hectic our
Oh my
week,
gosh.
yeah.
couple last.
Now, I don't
weeks
work
have
with you guys
been.
anymore, but my
Yeah.
days are.
You know what we go through.
Yeah,
though.
I
yeah.
absolutely do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I had
It's
a-
crazy.
I had a manager. They're like, "Oh, when are you going to be in to do this?" I'm like, I think I'm
Next
free in
month."
like end of May.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
Let me pencil you in, but it's
I
in
know.
pencil for a reason.
So we have like this group text message, and we're talking about this product. Well, everybody else is talking about this product, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I seen it over here, and I set it up here, and blah blah blah." And me and Drew are just like, "When? when did you have time to do that? Like we've been running our asses off, you know?"
Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
So I told them we're allowed 3 swear words this whole hour.
Did I
So
say
Drew
both
held
of
up
them?
2
yes,
fingers.
you just said 1 and Drew put up 2 fingers like, all right, we only have 1 more.
Shit.
We're done. No more swearing now.
Ah, darn it.
It's funny.
I mean, you say that. I mean, we can always go back to code words. That was
Yeah,
my
we
other fun
could.
thing in Deli. Because, there was quite a few managers, and I know you've talked about the one you met in the mall with the really disgusting store, and I did not like them at all. Absolutely hated the guy. And he knows, so it's okay.
I just hope he doesn't listen.
It got to the
I
point
hope he
where,
does.
He does.
like I said, it's not a surprise to him.
Yeah.
Because I found out, because I'd always ask, I'm like, oh, is this person working? But, that's too obvious. So we had code names for all of the MODs.
Oh my gosh.
For those of you who don't, I don't know if we mentioned this, but MOD is just manager on duty.
Yeah.
And so all the different possible MODs, they all had secret code names in our store.
That's so funny.
So we could just walk in and be like, did Napoleon invade France?
Oh.
Or is Barney on the air? And depending on how those were answered, I knew how my night was
Hold
going
on,
to go.
I don't know who Barney is though. I know Napoleon.
Napoleon's
but I
pretty
don't-
easy
We'll
to
talk
guess.
about it on break. Stop it. They listen. They all listen. We have a
Barney
lot
was
of
very
followers.
arbitrarily named. It was just because they were wearing a purple shirt that day or something.
Oh, that's
something like that.
funny.
But
That's
the
funny.
name just stuck. But names though. I had named every single one of the slicers in that department. The one of them was actually named Drew, and they're like, of course you named it Drew. You named it after yourself. I'm like, because when you turn the slicer on and it starts to spin up, it's just loud, annoying, and never shuts up. And then my boss is like, okay, we can keep calling it that. That's fine.
Yeah, that one's Drew over there.
I mean, the bad one, you might have to cut this out later, but the really bad one was I don't know if you've ever worked with slicers, Cass,
No.
but I know you have,
No.
Meredith, enough that especially with cheese slicers,
Yeah.
you get that buildup of cheese on the blade. And so on our front cheese slicer, I called it corporate because it was the dullest thing we had. I don't know if that could stay in, but there you go.
Definitely staying in. Speaking of corporate, I took my little attitude to corporate Monday. Oh, another pharmacy story.
Oh my gosh.
I walked up and the girl was like, birth date. And I told her my birth date. And I said, but I already scanned it because I knew I wasn't going to be around when last week I was really busy. I couldn't get over here. And she was like, nope, nothing's in there for you. And I'm like, okay, but I scanned
Let's
it.
start it over again.
Let's start again. And I said, okay, but I thought by scanning it, and I'm trying to just explain it to her. And right away she was like, nope, got nothing for you. And I'm like, can you please look and see if it was put back? Because I haven't been, and I'm just like, I'm trying not to roll my eyes. And she was like, well, yeah, it got put back. I'm like, can you run it again for me or whatever it is
Yeah.
that you do? I know that they have a stressful job. I was trying to be nice. And she was like, psh, ain't going to be ready tonight.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
like, have a good night. And I
I'll
went
see
right
you
out to my
tomorrow.
car and I sent an email to corporate and I
Oh
felt
my gosh.
I felt like a Karen. It was
Did you?
terrible.
I've
But-
been trying hard
but
to not be a Karen.
You know what?
lately.
I am a very, very patient person. And this girl, she did it like 3 or 4 times to me already.
That's
and we
so
go every month
annoying.
like we talked about. So I'm
Right.
like, nope, that's it. Going to corporate.
Right.
But I'm going to say on the light end, pharmacy called me, corporate called me. They were like, we are so sorry. I said, let me tell you something. I used to work there.
Yeah.
I know all these people. I don't know her and she
Yeah.
doesn't know me. But I promise you, I'm very nice. The only reason why I keep going there is because my friends work there.
Right.
And so they didn't offer me anything. I didn't want anything. They were just like, we'll fix it. So I'm wondering if I go
You're
back.
like, no,
and-
you won't.
They'll give you a pizza party. That's what they'll do.
They're like, oh yeah, we'll. And I said, I don't want anything to happen to her. She just needs an attitude adjustment. And the girl goes, well, we know she does. So
Oh
this will
my
just. I'm like, oh
gosh.
shoot.
Wow.
I broke my phone, right? My phone screen.
Oh yeah.
And I call, I'm going to name them AT&T. I call AT&T and I'm like, I broke my phone. Can I bring it there to fix it? Oh no, you go on this website. Okay, I go on the website. Well, I can't sign in there for whatever reason. Call this number. Well, you still have a warranty on your phone. You just call this number. Cool. Okay. I call that number. They don't fix phone screens.
It's like, really?
And I'm talking to this lady because I'm like, oh, hey, yeah, so-and-so from this company told me to call you because I have warranty. She's like, well, we don't fix phone screens. I'm like, so I called you for no reason. And I was like, you know what? You seem very nice. And I'm going to hang up now because I'm going to be a real B word real quick. So I gave up. So here I am walking around with a broken phone screen because
Oh,
I don't even
man.
have the patience anymore to call around and figure out what I have to do to get it fixed. So irritating.
So, after I wrote this email to them, they emailed me back, called me, and then the girl called me the next day to ask questions about it. I thought, you know what? I bet this girl's typing my name under my account going, this B word goes to corporate. Smile and be nice and ask her how her effing day is.
Yeah, right.
I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to switch pharmacy.
You know what,
wonder-
though? If it works,
Yeah, right.
Can you imagine if they had notes on every customer?
I was just thinking, what if they do?
This one, yells at her kids. You know what I mean? This one calls corporate. This one was a blonde 2 weeks ago.
She's not blonde anymore. Don't ask her. It's a wig.
we always used to threaten people with that. Everybody, because
Going blonde?
no, with kind of having that rogues gallery set up. And I gotta go back to my deli roots here. But you'd have those customers that they came in every week. They got their
Right.
week's worth of shopping done.
Right.
And apparently it didn't dawn on them that those of us that had been around long enough recognize them.
Right.
And we always used to joke, it's like, oh yeah, because we have your picture hanging up behind the counter. We had a banner that went over the counter.
Yeah.
So, and they would see us constantly looking up because we would always put the sales up on that banner on our side.
So you know
yeah.
what
So
they
whenever they'd be
were.
like, oh, what
Yeah.
kind of ham's on sale this week? And we would, just kind of look up and glance, or this way we knew at a quick look what was on sale that day. But they always see us looking up, and they're like, why do you always look up like that? And I'm like, oh, it's in case we see customers that are on the list of do not serve.
Oh my god.
So we have to check them against their, like we always talk to the store detective, we're like, we get the security cameras and we just print your face out and we have it hanging up on the back here. So if there's anybody on that list, we got to call them, warn the store to kick them out. And they're like, really? I'm like, no.
No.
Oh,
What
shoot.
do you think this
My
is?
picture's on the back wall of pharmacy.
Yeah.
What you really should do, don't you still have your badge? You just should wear your badge one day.
No, I gave it back.
Oh my
You wanna
God.
borrow mine?
You gave it back?
Yes.
I didn't give my badges back.
With all my cards of gratitude and all that kind of stuff. I told him to
You were like,
gratitude
look,
it.
look how worthless this stuff was. Here, you can have it back.
Yeah.
It is my pride and joy. I still have one of those shirts and my badge. And I'm like, one day, I'm just going to go into one of those stores and just have some fun.
Yeah.
I donated all my shirts to either somebody or nobody. I
did,
can't
yeah.
remember.
I gave it to the team leader that took over my position.
I was supposed to, but I couldn't find them in time. And then by the time I found them, she just didn't need them
I
anymore.
had, and I
Yeah.
don't know why, but I had a whole bunch of them. They were all different shades.
Yeah.
They were all different. Yeah,
Because
I
you had
did.
old ones, new
New
ones,
ones,
new
guys,
ones,
yeah,
guys, girls,
females, yeah, yep.
Yeah, I did too.
The different cuts,
I think I had about 30 different
and they were
shirts.
different tags.
Holy cow, I had 3.
Yeah.
Oh no! When I say
Yeah.
a lot, I mean probably 20. I hung them up all in my. I don't know how I got them,
Jeez.
or if people just kept,
Yeah.
oh, this doesn't fit. It's too this. It's too that, and I would just
Yeah.
take them all.
Wow.
And I had my favorites that I would wear, but. I mean, there were times, I'm sure the same for you, but I would work 10 days in a row, have a day off,
Right.
work 10 more days, have 2 days off.
Yeah,
So
yep.
you need 10 shirts,
I had the
really.
old secretary liked me, and she would be like, "Here, take all these shirts. We don't use these anymore." I'd be like, "Okay."
She may have given me a few,
Yeah.
too, yeah.
You say that. Have you looked at the aprons that we used to wear?
No, I
You
never
don't
wore
want
them.
to.
I
never
never,
had an
wore
apron,
an
yeah.
apron, even
'Cause
though I was in
can tell you,
bakery.
I worked in that deli for 5 years. I got one apron.
Oh,
Are you
gosh.
serious? One
Yep.
apron?
One apron. I got given the apron with my hat when I first started working the deli. Never got a new one.
Even if you asked? Just never did.
That secretary did not like me.
Okay, well, even if you did
might be
ask
sensing a
for,
pattern
Probably
line,
just didn't
but-
like the Drew Slicer, not you
Yeah,
personally.
maybe.
even if you asked for a new apron, they probably charge you like $12 for it.
Yeah,
which was
I spend all my money on
ridiculous.
those fancy no-slip shoes.
Oh God, we talked about that.
The ones that don't work in the freezer?
Yeah, we talked
They,
about
they
that.
do. That just
Maybe
don't
for
work as soon
you.
as you walk out of the freezer is the problem. Also, fun fact, there's special chemicals they're supposed to use to clean those floors, so that way that doesn't happen.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
There
they
are
did
there,
freezer
there is
cleaner.
special fridge freezer cleaner because it doesn't freeze.
I know we used it at our place. I don't think they use it at the other place.
I don't think so.
because, Yeah. Nope.
Or I mean, they might have it, but I don't think they use it.
I'd always see it on the shelf.
Because I mean, would you like to mop a freezer? Like, trust me, there are far
No.
better things to do with your
Yeah.
time.
That was one
Yeah.
year. That was my goal, to clean the freezer floor, and it was the diamond cut floors.
Oh, yeah.
And so everything that ever got dropped on that floor was, embedded in all the diamonds. And I remember
Yeah.
being in that freezer scrubbing because that was my.
Ew.
I don't know. They had that clean competition or the.
Oh, the white
white
glove?
Yeah,
glove.
yeah.
I miss that so
Stupid.
much. I mean,
What?
you may hate it, but I can tell you,
I
seeing
hated
stores that
it.
have it and seeing stores that don't have it, you can tell.
Yeah.
You
I
absolutely
hated
can
it.
tell.
I hated it because I feel like we should have just always been clean like that. So I understand what you mean, stores
Yeah.
that had it and stores that didn't. But it was just a bum rush to get all this stuff done, just like every single corporate visit. They want you vacuuming the concrete outside, you know, and
I
it
swear
was
I've done that
so
before.
Yeah.
stupid. And you know what I love about coronavirus is they have full-time cleaning people on
They
at
do.
stores now.
Yep.
And it's so much better. Like, now you know that the bathrooms are getting cleaned every hour. Someone's not just signing off on it and not doing it because they don't have time. There's literally a person hired for it. So that's one good thing that came out of Corona.
Yeah, you know, and I guess that does make sense because once I scrubbed it once, I would do it once a week and it stayed clean. So,
Yeah.
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 It should just always be that way.
Yeah.
It should be white glove every single day.
I mean, maybe not every day, but maybe let's call
Every
it
day.
once a week.
Every day.
Every
Every
day.
day.
Nuh-uh.
Every day. There should be enough labor to do what you need to do, plus an hour before and an hour after to clean up.
I mean, yeah, for basic cleaning, yeah, but for something like cleaning a freezer, you don't need to do that every day.
Well, maybe not every day.
Um,
Obviously, you got your daily, weekly, monthly,
Yeah.
yearly tasks, but
which people follow to some degree.
yeah, sometimes.
I think people follow them more now, though,
Yeah.
Yes.
especially when it comes to just touch points and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
But I mean, a lot of it too is when you clean, it's a double hassle. Because I mean, I know you guys have talked about it before. The place where we used to work, it's open 24/7,
Right.
except for Christmas Eve. And it was a tradition that because we were closed Christmas Day and then we didn't reopen, that's one of the times where we went in and we super deep cleaned that counter that all the meats and cheeses are on display on. And I don't know what possesses people to think that that deli was still open with literally every piece of meat and cheese ripped out of that cooler, the
No
entire
lights
cooler,
on.
doors open, me blasting it with a high pressure hose.
Yeah.
And they'd walk up, be like, "Can I get a quarter pound of turkey?" And I'm like,
no.
"No." They're like, "Well, why not?" I'm like, "The deli's closed." I'm like, "But the store's not." I'm like, "But the deli is."
Yeah.
Now get out of here. I had that problem with the inventory too. I don't know if they were let's see, how can I phrase this correctly?
He's behaving himself on the podcast.
Enjoying some recreational part times. But I'd be doing
The devil's
inventory.
lettuce.
Yeah. They were smoking that lettuce you don't get in the produce department, you know? And they'd show up at 2 a.m. and be like, "Yeah, can I get like a half a pound of salami?" I'm like, "No."
We are not open, sir.
I'm counting your salami. So no, I'm
like,
counting
"No,
everything.
You can't. And they're like, "Well, why not?" I'm like, "The deli's closed." But you're
But
open.
why are you
I go,
here?
"But the deli's closed." It's like, "But you're here."
But you're
I go,
here.
"So?"
Slice the meat, bro.
Well, so you're here. You can just go back and cut it, right? I'm like, "Yeah," and then spend 45 minutes cleaning that slicer again. Not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But
like-
the turkey called me, man. He
Yeah.
told me to come get him.
The taco store is open down the road.
I need beef and cheese.
Beef and you smell like beef and cheese.
Though, I mean, I say that, but I did then break that own rule. Overnight people, they never got hot
Yeah.
food, you know? And it happened by accident. I was working in inventory. I'm like, "You know what? I want cheese sticks for lunch."
Oh my God! So you turned on
And
the
so,
fryer.
I mean, I'm fully trained on hot food. So I went back there and I had the fryer. And I think that might have been one of the days. A lot of times if we were doing cold production, you know, to get the chilled chicken wings, we just grill it, you know, fry it overnight. Because then by the time it's done chilling, that's when
Yeah.
your morning crew is there and has the ability to package it. Otherwise, morning crew has to cook it. You spend all day waiting for it to chill. Your closing crew might have time to package
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And so it's just easier to do it on overnights like that. Or otherwise, I would do that. That's when I would go and I'd change the oil in the fryers every now and then too. I wound up changing that to in the middle of the weekend because I'm a genius. There's actually a reason for it, but I wound up changing them every Saturday instead of on the, I think it was Wednesdays or something we did inventory. But I'm like, you know what? I want cheese sticks for lunch. So I went in the back and I turned on the fryer. 10 gallons of oil heated up just for me to cook 6 cheese sticks. I'm the epitome of efficiency. But I'm at the checkout and I have my cheese sticks and I'm scanning it at the U-scan because that's the only thing open, you know. And the cashier that runs all the U-scans, she's looked at me. She's like, "Where did you get that?" I'm like, "The deli." She's like, "How? They're closed." I'm like,
I work there.
I work in the deli. And she's like, "But how did you cook it?" I'm like, "I'm the one that cooks it when the store is open, right? I can just as easily cook it at night." She's like, "What? So you just cooked it for yourself and shut it back down?" I'm like, "Well, do you want some? The fryer's still hot. It's not worth
She's like,
shutting the fryer
yeah,
back down."
fried
She's like,
cheese at 2 a.m. Of course I do.
and she's just like, "Wait, so you'll just cook it?" I'm like, "I mean, there's a limit. There's some things that I could only cook in a large batch.
Yeah.
Something like the mac and cheese, I could only cook a 4 pounds
Right.
of it at one time because it came frozen."
Drew had a business on the side.
He did, yeah. He's
But
out
what
there
I
hawking sticks of cheese.
So what I wound up doing was I kind of created a modified menu of these are all of the things that I can cook in a small enough batch. And I annoyed my manager because she got in the one day and she's like, "Where is the phone?" Because all the managers had the phone on their pocket.
Yeah.
And she's going in, searching the office, all the drawers in the desk. She couldn't find this phone. She's like, "I swear I put it here when I left yesterday. Where is it?" And then she pages me, and I call her from the phone she was looking for. And she's like, "Oh, you have it." I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Why do you have it?" I'm like, "So I can take the orders." And she's like, "What orders are you taking at 2 in the morning?"
I'm making sales, okay?
I'm like,
I'm
"We
making
need to bring our
sales.
sales up. We have an entire overnight crew market that's completely untapped. We have the monopoly on anything above 32
So once
degrees.
a month, Wednesdays, there would
Yeah,
be.
and it honestly became the highlight of their month. That I'd walk in for intro like, "Oh, I get hot food tonight. I don't need a microwave."
Wings.
And so literally, I'm like, "You can call the phone. Otherwise, I have it." I'm like, "Trust me, I'll answer it. Nobody's calling in sick at 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'll answer the phone." And so I just get it, and they just tell me what they wanted, what time they were picking up, and I just it got to the point where I had so many, I actually turned on the main warmer that we kept in the case.
Yeah.
And I just have everything out in the warmer. And then there was one day, one of those lettucey people came in, and they saw it on the warmer, and they took it and bought it.
Oh no.
And the person showed up for their lunch, and they're like, "Did you forget about my?" Their thing was chicken tenders. Like, "Did you forget about my chicken tenders?" I'm like, "No, it's right." Oh, you've got to be kidding me. So I had to go in the back and fry up new chicken tenders for the.
One of those devil's lettuce.
I'm
people.
happy for him though. He was probably in his car like,
He was like, "Yes."
He's probably
This is the
mad.
best.
That would be something I,
I got
would
the
do.
last one.
Because honestly, it was probably the only thing at the case at that point. But
Yeah.
even like the MOD, like everybody knew. Just call me. I had like a menu list that I just write down
Oh, it's
name,
so
time of
funny.
pickup, what they wanted, and just
Like, this is
fry
what
it
we're
up.
offering today.
basically.
If I get 20 people that want mac and cheese, I'll open the 4-pound bag.
And I literally told him like, "I don't mind cooking mac and cheese, but if you want half a pound, find someone else for the other
No
3.5."
wonder every time I showed up for bakery inventory, there was a line by Deli. I had no idea. He never shared his secret with me.
I told you I got to make people like me, because it's one of the things I've learned of when people like you and they need you, you get away with so much more.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Like my old boss, I swear the only reason she put up with me is she just needed someone above 6 foot tall on the payroll.
Drew, can you reach out? Can you get that down?
I mean, you say that, but it actually happened. I took advantage of that and really ticked her off. This was the story I was telling you about. We were kind of touching on a little bit of seasonal, and I hate because in retail you don't have spring, summer, fall, and winter.
Right.
No.
Right.
You have New Year's, Valentine's
Yeah.
Day, Easter,
Yep.
summer, back to school. You have the seasonal seasons. You don't have
Yes.
real seasons. And the way retail works is you're always setting one season ahead.
Yeah.
And it drives me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it is October. We do not need Christmas lights up.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
And we had this shipper, and it was, I can't remember what it was, but it was some sort of like cinnamon and sugar, but with Christmas designs on the packaging. And it came in the shipper, which
I remember this.
And it
story.
came in
You-
like July
You told
15th.
me this story. This is a great story.
It came in a shipper, which for anybody that doesn't know, a shipper is just kind of like that pre-cut
Display,
cardboard
yeah.
display. It just comes already looking like that. Sometimes you're unfortunate enough to build them. We had that fun project once.
God, don't even
forget
talk
about
it.
it.
Gives me PTSD.
But this was the good shipper. This was literally just cut the top open, just take the sleeve off, and the
Yeah.
things there, all the products there,
Yeah.
just print a tag or some sort of a
Yeah.
price, and you're good. And I got so mad because I'm like, no. I'm like, it is a week before Thanksgiving. You can wait a week for the
Yeah.
shipper. And I was fighting her on it. And she got so mad at me. She's like, "You are going to take care of this before you leave today." And I said, "Fine, I'll take care of it." So the next morning, she texts me at 6 a.m. when she gets there, and I'm sleeping because I closed the night before. And she was usually nice enough to not make me clope in. I know this is the name of the podcast, but she usually was good to me. She only made me do that on inventory night because I'd always close Monday, and then on Tuesday I would start at 6 a.m, work until 2 p.m, go home, sleep, and be back at midnight for inventory Wednesday morning. So that was like the worst clopenings I ever
Yeah.
had to do. But then you just like slept for the next 48
Right.
hours, so it was
Right.
fine. But she gets back, she's 6 a.m, and she's texting me. She's like, "Where did you put that shipper?" And I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
You're like, I took care
I
of
took care of
And
it.
she's
Yeah.
like, "I told you to put it up." I said, "No, you told me to take care of it." And so I get it. I'm like, "I get in at 10. I'll talk to you when I get there." And so I get there at 10. And she's like, she's waiting for me. She's like, "Where is this shipper?" And now we had a thing we always called the Bat Cave, because between the deli and the bakery, you had this wall of bread that the customer saw, but there was a back half of it that we all
Right.
used for
Yes.
storage.
Right.
And we always joked it was the bat cave. It was our secret passageway to get to bakery. Because like if you really wanted one of them cookies, but you didn't want to walk across the sales floor and have a customer stop and ask you a
Yeah.
question,
Yes.
you took the bat cave.
Yeah.
And so in Batcave, we always use that for storage. And so there's a line of shelves in the back, and we had these real big boxes. They were super lightweight because it was like plastic for the rotisserie chickens.
Right.
But they were
right.
light, so they were lightweight enough, but they were tall, and we just put them on the top shelf because otherwise you had to have too much of a gap between shelves. And so on top of one of those, I had put this shipper. And my manager needed
Just
a step ladder to
way
reach the
out of
chicken
her.
containers. There was no way. And I needed a step ladder to put this thing up there. There was no way she was taking it down before Thanksgiving. And I just got there. I'm like, it's right there. I took care of it. She's like, I told you to put it on the sales floor. She was so mad at me because she's like, go get that ladder. You are to take this down right now.
So did you put it up that day?
I wound up having to put it up that
Oh,
day. Yeah.
damn it.
It's okay. I got my revenge. It was like 2 weeks later. She's like, hey, rotate all the salads before you go. You know, all the deli salads, rotate them.
Yeah.
So before I left, I went and I turned all of them 90 degrees.
Oh
side-
my God.
She comes in the next morning, just sends me a picture of the case going, you're joking, right?
I don't know if I could be your boss. I'd probably strangle you, Drew.
I mean, one of the if it makes you feeling better, there was occasional ones that backfired, and the one particular one where she's like, "Hey, before you go, right up," because it was right when I was kind of in training for management,
Yeah.
and so I was kind of stepping up my role, and she's like, "Hey, before you leave, put a note up to tell everybody some new policy or new product or some bit of information."
Always a new policy, right?
Yeah.
Signs.
Every day.
Yep.
Signs.
Signs.
Yeah, the sign. Here's another sign,
Yep.
But she's like, "I'll put something up in the deli, so to let it know," because she usually worked, actually, pretty much exclusively always worked first shift, and so it kind of became she was the first shift
Yeah.
manager, and I would just be like the closing manager.
Right.
And so
Right.
she would always text me so that way everybody found out what was happening. She would always tell the morning people, I'd tell the closing people. And for whatever reason this day, I decided to be a smart aleck. I know,
No way.
that's
This
I
is-
know
I can't
100% a
believe it.
shock to you, but I'm a little bit of a smart aleck. And so I went to one of the computers up front, and I went to go and just type up the note on Word because I have atrocious handwriting. And when I pulled up Microsoft Word, and it had like a template that you could choose from. It was like, if you want a resume or something like that. And one of the templates, see, now here's the secret, because I never told her how I did this.
Oh,
So she
no.
hasn't been able to do it.
Now she's
So-
gonna
now-
know.
Now she'll know. But one of the template options was newspaper. I'm like,
Oh.
I've got to. So I'm sitting there, I'm like,
attention.
so what I did was I came up with The Slice. It was the Deli newsletter.
Yes.
And so it actually wound up having a format later on, but I split it into two parts. You had, a main article at the top and at the bottom, and then I had one of those like side articles, And the side article was something for food safety that we were going over. Because, you had, I don't know if you had it, you would have had it in bakery, but I don't know if you had it in any
Yeah,
other
I didn't
departments.
have a newspaper
Every-
one.
But you'd have it like every period.
Every
It's
period,
like,
yeah,
read and sign
safety.
this,
Yeah,
Yep.
And so it was one of those things. And so rather than that, I just put it into this newspaper article, and I'm like, printed it and posted it. And she texted me this next morning. She's like, oh my God, I love this.
You are officially in charge.
She's like, you got to do this again sometime. It's fantastic. I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah,
what did I get
you
myself into?
start? Yeah.
So it wound up being like every month I wound up having to make one of these, and like the bakery
Yeah.
wanted one of those, but apparently Get Baked wasn't an appropriate name for a newspaper. It wasn't
Get
work
baked,
appropriate.
not off the devil lettuce.
But
I think
apparently
the guy with the chicken tenders would think otherwise.
it was deemed too inappropriate for work, so I wasn't allowed to make that one. But the slice
Aw.
became a thing, and there was actually one where it was a special hot foods edition, and it kind of had it. It would always be there's the two main articles. The
Yeah.
one on the right was always that food safety article
Yeah.
because every now and then it's so much fun to get paid to have to sit there and go, what are all the different ways you can get sick from eating food?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
You had to memorize all the different the main foodborne illnesses.
E.
you had to,
coli.
yeah, E. coli, the salmonella. all
Salmonella.
it's been a while. Shh.
Yeah.
It's okay. I think I
can't
still have a
remember.
valid sanitation license, but it might have expired by now.
I'm sure mine expired.
I think mine is in 22.
Mine either expired last year or is going to expire this year.
Yeah.
I
I
really
think
should
it's
look into that.
expiring this
I
year.
remember taking that test. I went to everybody and I said, I failed. That's it. I got maybe one.
Me and
we
you
were in
took
the
it
same
together.
We were in the same
Wait a second.
testing class.
Yeah.
Were you
That
there
means
too?
we were because I know I was in your class.
Oh,
Because
Yeah.
we were in the class and I kept getting yelled at. Because
Okay.
every time the guy asked a question, I kept answering and answering. And then you turn around, Cass, and you're like, you just keep answering all of these. And I'm like, I cooked lunch for literally half the people in this room. That should make you happy, not sad.
Yeah. I remember
So that's why I
that
remember
you
you were
guys
there.
got done within like 20 minutes of the 105
because
questions.
it was easy. Because
It
you
wasn't
overthink
easy.
everything.
Of course I did. I mean, you give me 5 answers. I'm going to read through every single one
my
of them
God.
and see what, is going on. I
That's
wanna make-
because the guy who I know that I went to school with, his brother, it was his little brother, which was weird. That was a weird thing too.
Oh,
that
yeah, I
he
remember
ended up
that.
being our sanitation dude.
Ugh, you know everybody, Cass. I don't even know why it should surprise you. Everywhere we go, she's like, "Oh, don't you know?" Yeah,
my
every
God,
time. It
that's
doesn't
so
matter
funny.
where we're at.
Just name
So
drop,
then
it's
he
fine.
Yeah.
told us oh, be careful, make sure you read it good because sometimes they're tricky. And I'm going through and I'm like, A, C, E, A, C, whatever. This is easy. Boom, I'm done. And he's like, are you sure you don't want to look over? I'm like, that was the easiest thing I've ever done. You were in there for 40.
No,
They
it was
gave you-
59 minutes out of the 60. I was there. I reread it.
I
and
think they
looked-
gave you 2 hours to do it.
Okay, well, I think it
And
took me an
literally,
hour.
I was done in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Easiest thing
So I
ever.
remember I was the last one in there. Maybe there was one other person. I saw people come over by the window and look like, oh my God, she's still in there. What is she doing?
It's because we had a
I
side
was
bet
so
going.
nervous.
Yeah. I remember I was done and I looked at the person next to me. I don't remember who was next to me.
I don't know either.
I can't remember, but they were only on answer 10.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like,
So that means I was probably only
What
on
the
answer
shit?
1.5. I was
Oh
still
my
reading
God.
through answer 3. But I just want to say I got a 98%.
exactly. Yeah. I knew you would have done good.
Yeah.
See, another thing I'm curious about. Are you going to renew yours then? Because I don't think
I don't
am.
know if
'cause
I want to put myself through that pressure.
Oh
no,
my
I probably
God.
will.
I
Yeah,
I don't got a
will.
corporate sugar daddy paying for mine this time, so I don't know if I'm going to.
I
you know?
know. Yeah. Because it's $40.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not only because you have to pay for the test, but you also have to pay for the training. You have to have so many hours
Yeah.
of training.
I don't know if I will.
And so I was paid to sit there watching training.
Right.
The training was provided for me, and the test was provided for me. I'm like,
right.
that's really expensive to have to pay for.
It
you know?
is.
Yeah.
It
So,
is. And we don't really have to have it anymore.
No, not in the slightest.
It's
No.
good to have,
Yeah.
but
Hey, if it gets me out of the deli more on our current job,
There
yeah,
you
that's
go.
true. You could
Give
say
me back
sorry.
to that stuff I can't do
There
anymore.
you go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm,
You always say how you're tied to it. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's one store that is convinced that I am the sanitation inspector.
oh
You
my
know,
God.
we always talk about how people think we're
yeah,
corporate.
we're corporate.
There's
yeah.
one that thinks I am the sanitation.
Oh, that's so great.
And I found out because the first time I was there, it was a split level store, and they must have seen me on the first floor because by the time I worked my way up to the second floor, the bakery manager sees me and she goes, "Oh, it's just you." I'm like,
They're like,
"Good
"Hey,
morning."
Some guys here.
Yeah, they called and they're like,
checking
"Hey,
stuff out."
the sanitation's guys here." Now I get it. Our company starts with the same letter, but
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
true,
it.
true. Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
yeah, but ours is a large
Yeah.
letter, and that company is a small letter.
I mean, not only that, but in my normal uniform, I wear a company logo in 4 different places.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's on my hat, my shirt, my coat, and
You
my
always
badge.
look
Yeah.
professional though, so I could.
And that's what it was. They
easily-
just saw me walking around. I
If
had
I
the
didn't
hat
know,
on. I think
yeah.
that was still when I carried that kind of that little briefcasey looking case type thing.
Yeah.
I think it was back when I still had that too. And
Oh
so
yeah,
they
I would have
thought that's who I
definitely
was.
thought you were somebody.
I would
and so
too,
they call and they're like,
absolutely.
"Oh, sanitation's here. Sanitation is here." And the bakery manager sees me and she's like, "Oh, it's just you." I'm like, "Well, good morning." And she's like, "Oh no, someone said sanitation was here, but they probably just saw you."
Oh, that's so funny.
Drew's trying to figure out why everyone's
months
like
later.
washing their hands, doing the dishes, sweeping around him. He's like, "This is cool."
2 months later, I'm in that store again. Same exact thing happens. Same manager. "Oh, it's you."
Oh,
Wait.
it's so funny.
Seriously? And she's like, "Oh, they said sanitation was here." So this is where the story gets funny then. I'm there a month and a half ago, 2 months, something like that. And I walk in and I happen to look to my left. And the actual sanitation guy's in that store. So I get up to the top and they see me and they're like, "Oh." And then the actual sanitation guy shows up and they're like, "Uh-oh."
And you're like, no, he's here
He
today.
really is. I'm
He's
not
really
kidding.
here.
I bet you that was the most realistic inspection that store ever had
Oh
because
my
they all went,
God.
"Oh, it's just this guy." And then he showed up
it's so
anyway.
Funny. Oh, that's
I
so
was
funny.
trying to get a hat from that company. I honestly was. I met one in our old store.
You're
They-
so bad.
And I wanted a hat with that
You just
company
want to
logo
go
on it.
mess around with people.
Are you just now
you wanna
learning
go put
this?
on your old work shirt and go into our old work and be like, "Yep, I'm back."
Well, because here's my
Get
philosophy.
arrested.
No. Not if they gave me the shirt. It's not like I'm. But it's one of those of. I mean, the first secret of retail is if you look like you know what you're doing.
Yes.
Nobody's
Nobody
gonna question
questions
you.
it.
I
No.
feel like
Because-
that's like that where you guys are at now. You walk in and people are like, "Oh, these are the people that know everything.
Right.
Let me go ask them."
But I mean,
Right.
it's also that our first job where we all met, there really wasn't as many vendors at. Whereas
Yeah.
now there's a
Yes.
lot of vendors who are
Yes.
like, who knows?
Yes, I have noticed that.
Stores used to be really strict that any and all vendors had to check in with
Right.
receiving
Yeah.
and
Right.
had to have a badge on so
Yeah.
people could tell. But if you just look like you know what you're doing, just confidently walk in the back room, nobody's going to stop
When
you.
I first started there, like at first, you know, I'm training with people, whatever. And then, you know, a couple times, like you had called me and like, oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
need this like tomorrow. Can you go? And I'd be like, sure, whatever. I just walk right in there. I'd walk in the back room. They'd kind of look at me funny. I just, good morning.
Yeah.
And I just walk around and do what I had to do. And nobody ever questioned anything.
No.
Oh,
I
it's because
know.
you said the magic password of good morning. You initiated the conversation,
Yeah.
which means
Yeah.
you're not hiding.
Yeah.
And they don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
But I've also found a lot of it, it's, you know, a lot of retail, it's they're minimum wage employees. They really just
They really
don't care.
Yeah, yeah.
Short of you showing up just popping on a slicer, that may have issues
Well,
with.
and, you know,
but-
you guys do walk around with corporate.
Yeah.
Or at least
Yeah.
the higher levels
Yeah,
of
at this
management.
point, yeah.
Right.
So if they've met you and they've seen you and who
Yeah,
you've walked with
yeah.
or who you have a conversation with, they
Yeah.
do think that you're part of corporate. So of course they're going to do whatever it is.
I know.
you
I always
need
try to
or
like
help
say hi to
you.
corporate and they always ignore me. I was like,
Really?
Hi.
Aw.
They don't ignore
Yeah,
me.
whatever.
Yeah, no, they
It's
never.
I don't know
fine.
why.
I don't really want to know them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
You don't.
Like,
It's
I
fine.
feel like
Yeah.
they're all very nice.
They're
Like,
very
because you're a
nice.
corporate person,
Oh.
Meredith.
They're very nice, but it's also
No, before.
they you know, it's because they're very nice because every now and then they don't know when they need a favor, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes it's an easy favor, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, I was doing a reset Monday, and one of the corporate people was like, "Oh, I called the store director. They're on vacation. I called the department manager. They have not answered my call. It's been 3 hours. I need one picture." And she mentioned the store, the location of the store. I'm like, "Hold on a second." She's like, "Why?" I'm like, "I'm pretty sure one of my coworkers is literally in that store right
Oh,
now."
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just
Yeah.
call him up. And I'm like, "Hey, Rockstar, are you still in that store?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Can you just go take a picture of this 12-foot case and email it to me?" He's like, "Sure."
Done.
Yeah.
Forward it on to the
done.
corporate person.
Yeah.
She's like, "I've been waiting for 3 hours for that picture, and you got it in 3 minutes."
Oh,
So now she's
see?
gonna reach out to you every day.
Yup.
Hey, can you go
Yup.
take a picture? Where you
No,
at?
it's because I specifically told her this person happens to be in that store today.
Yeah.
And I had to preface it with, don't expect this every day, but I do happen to know for a fact they're in this store
I
today.
remember when
You
people
should
would.
probably expect it.
Yeah. When people would email me or call or text and they'd be like, hey, I don't know if you have anybody around here, but can you send me this? There was always someone around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
Always.
I could reach out to the 13 to 14 people that were on our team. Someone was going to write me back, and it was just, that's how fast it was. But then that was the.
Unless we all thought somebody else answered,
Okay,
and then
so
you got
me
nothing.
and Drew were just
Yeah.
talking about that today.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
We were recently reached out to, like, hey, can you guys take a picture of this and find out about it? And none of us did it.
I emailed because I think she sent that like a week ago now or something.
No, I
Was
think it was like Monday.
Was it Monday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how fast are you supposed to reply back when it's like
I mean,
a picture?
I try to
What
do
you
it
think?
right away. Right away. If you need it, there's a reason you need it.
Yeah.
So, boom, I try to do it right away.
So my rule was always if I email you within the week, if I text you within 24 hours,
Yeah.
if I call you, I need it now.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, there was a lot of phone calls because
Yeah.
it was like, hey, I need this yesterday.
Only to the
Right.
people you can trust. It's
Yeah,
okay.
but that was always
Yeah.
my rule. Like if I
Yeah.
emailed everybody, whenever you can get a chance, or
Right.
if I call you, it's probably because I'm on the call, on a call,
Right.
or if I text you, I might be on a call, or there's one coming up, But
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times texting, you're like, "Hey, I'm on a call. Is this in the store right now? Because I don't
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
seeing
yeah.
it."
Yeah.
And I'd be
Mhm.
like, "Oh yeah, it's right here." Pff, I've never seen that before in my life.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, there's so many moving parts all the time.
I know.
Yeah.
I
Retail,
know.
it's different every day. There's
Could you
always something
imagine
new coming
doing
in.
this job without text messages?
No.
That would be terrible.
Yeah.
No.
'Cause,
Like having to
we
carry a
live in
laptop
group
and check
texts.
your email like all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean they did that
No.
just years ago. I
Uh-uh.
remember seeing people.
I
They would have the
nope.
laptop on the cart and
Yeah.
walking around typing everything in.
Yeah, no.
I mean, they would still have their phones, but now
But I
they
mean,
have
so much of our
tablets,
job
and
is
our
taking
phones
and
are-
sending pictures.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Having email in your pocket on that phone. It's
Yeah.
just
I
oh.
couldn't imagine doing this
Mm-mm.
job without
taking a
the
picture,
resources.
shaking that Polaroid, putting it in express
Oh
mail
my
so they
God.
Yeah.
You're making a scrapbook. Send it in at the end of the week.
Yeah, this is my your yearly review is just here's the collage of everything I've done. this is the best of the
I wonder
best.
how they used to communicate. Maybe with horse and buggy, they would come in with
Stop
like a
it.
book, and
They had telegraphs.
They would, and they can only
Stop
print
it.
one. Yeah, so they would go to each store and say, "This is how it's supposed to look." All right, see you in a month.
Oh my
and then they go to the
God,
next
no.
store with the book and
No.
oh no,
Printing tags. They were just sitting there. It was like a coloring book, and they just
Yeah.
stencil.
Oh
They had a
my
stencil for
God.
the barcodes. Just filled them all in on the tag and hung it up.
You guys are so silly.
I mean, you say that. I was at. I had
No,
a
they
store-
would. You know what they would do is they would use price tags. So when
Yeah.
you get up to the register, they would just type in 269 beep,
Yeah.
744 beep.
It's funny you say 269. That was like really expensive. It was more like
Well,
26
yeah, that's
cents.
true. That's true. I meant 2 for 69. How
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that?
there
Is
we
that
go, there we
better?
go. Though I was in a store, I think it was a month ago, and it's the store that's on the south side that you call.
I don't
She
like
you
it.
don't
loves.
like.
She
I don't
loves
like it,
the
and I have
city
to-
stores.
I have to go there with you, and I'm scared. We have to do something there, and I'm scared.
It's okay. They don't have the plywood up anymore, so it's a lot safer now.
Oh.
Are you sure?
I was there today.
Oh, good.
I was shocked they didn't have it up yesterday.
Well, because they just replywooded the city because of
Yeah.
that guy on trial.
yeah, they
blah,
had.
blah, blah.
I was in that store and I'm like, I have 3 resets to do today,
Oh,
and they're
God.
2 on the south side and 1 in the loop. I'm like, if they raise those bridges, I'm never getting out of here.
No.
So I had like
Yeah.
text alerts on my phone.
Yeah.
I'm like, if this thing goes,
That's scary.
like, if I find out there's a riot, I am wheel spinning. I don't care what that store looks
You're
like.
gonna be
I'm
jumping
getting out of
bridges.
here.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
My car will be a ski-doo just hopping along, you know.
You know what I thought about
I'll
that
start
the other
swimming.
morning? Because I got up and I got in the shower and everything. Usually by the time I get out of the shower, Johnny's up and he's got the news on.
Yeah.
And I saw that they were boarding up stores
Mm-hmm.
preparing for riots. And I was like, waiting for your text message. Stay out of the city today. Be careful
That was
today.
yesterday?
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I was
yeah.
like, shit.
Yeah.
She's not going to text us today
Nope,
telling us to stay out of the
nope.
city.
And I had that once, and that's what I remember so much is
Yep.
I had to
Last year.
see. I can't say the name of it, but I
No.
had to go and visit a particularly special vehicle that everybody would recognize immediately. I'll leave it at that. And they were in the store, and you would text me. You're like, "Oh, there's this trial going on. The verdict is supposed to come out at like 2:30 today. Your wheels better be spinning by 2:00." And I'm like, don't
Yeah.
gotta tell me twice.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm telling them like, "Yeah, I just hope you guys get out okay." I'm like, "Well, we just have to go out to the suburbs." And the one of them happened to mention that she was from Texas. She had never seen snow before, and I'm like, "Well, you're about to." She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure I'll see it because it's January in Chicago." I'm like, "No. You're
Like-
going to in like 2 hours."
Like right now.
She didn't own a winter coat, and I felt so bad
Oh
for her. So
my
I saw her
gosh.
again Monday, and I was chatting with her about it.
I
but
don't own a winter coat
I still
either.
have that selfie somewhere on my phone. I took a selfie with the drivers of that vehicle. It was a lot of fun.
Oh.
A lot of fun.
You can't say the owners of that vehicle.
I don't know.
Oh, you mean when we had that the Italian visitor? Is that what you mean?
No. Not the one that you were checking out the hot security guards.
The
the other
Wiener
one.
Mobile. It was the Wienermobile.
Oh.
Oh, I have heard the stories of
Yes.
because I think that was Kayla. We were just like, oh my god, this
You said
dude's in here.
vehicle, and I'm picturing his car. I'm picturing the Mercedes.
No, the
I'm
40-foot
picturing-
hot dog.
Oh.
It's a
Oh,
very
I know who
special
you're talking
vehicle that
about.
everyone
Yeah,
would
yeah.
recognize.
Yeah.
Oh,
But no, the
yeah.
Italian
yeah,
one,
you could have said
she was
that
just
on
like-
See, you can
here.
edit that however you
Yeah,
want.
no,
to.
we'll leave it on. I had no idea. I'm sure everyone else is thinking, which vehicle is he talking about? Or no, it's probably just me that didn't know what he was talking about.
The
But, oh.
Wienermobile.
I have to tell people because I have this fun game of trying to have people guess what I do for a living, because people are like, so what do you do? And I'd be like, oh well,
Tell
like
me
this
what you
week
do
I
without
did
telling me
this.
what you do.
Oh my god.
I told someone one of my favorite ones was either A, I got to chill out in a 40-foot hot dog just chatting for 3 hours and got paid
Oh
for
my
it.
god.
Or my other personal favorite was I got to teach a sushi chef how to make sandwiches while staring at a 3.5-foot cannoli full of cannolis
That's
They
true.
do have a big cannoli.
Swear to
full of
God,
During
I-
grand
cannoli.
openings.
during grand opening. So the normal one they have
Grand
like a
openings are the
2.5-foot cannoli.
best.
Grand openings, it's a 3.5-foot cannoli, and it's just full of mini cannolis, and they just hand them out as free samples.
Yeah.
Oh my
And I was talking to the sushi
God.
chef, and I had to teach him how to use the deli slicer because they were bringing out these fancy sandwiches, and for some reason the sushi guy was in charge of it. So I had to teach the sushi
does
guy
it
how to
Like,
use the
I
slicer.
cut fish. I don't cut meat. I cut fish.
I
And
make
honestly-
art.
Yeah, and I was because and the thing was we were making the sandwiches where to make them uniform cuts, they would even cut the tomatoes and the onions on the slicer.
Oh yeah.
And he's just staring at it. He's like, I can do this faster with a knife.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah,
I'm
I
sure
bet,
you
I
can,
bet.
but some of us can't.
Oh my gosh.
And oh my god, if you have never had the unfortunate privilege of having to clean leaf lettuce out of a slicer,
oh,
cut
ew.
yourself, that is the most time-consuming and annoying process
I'm
in
sure.
the world. Which of course, I always unplug the machine and do a lockout tag out with cut gloves every single time.
I've never seen you do that.
When I first started working in the deli, I went to visit my grandma, and then she knew I worked in the deli. And first thing she said to me when I walk in the door, not hello, not I missed you, but hold up your hands. I had to show my hands
Do
to
you have
prove
all
I
your
still
digits?
had all of my fingers.
Oh my gosh.
Every single time. And then the one time she didn't ask, which was hysterical, because I'm like, yeah, I'm down to 9 and 15/16 now.
Were you like this? Look, Grandma, I lost one of my
15
fingers.
16s. What's that on the scale?
I don't know. A little under 1.0.
0.9.
Yeah, it'd be, what would that be? It'd be point.
Told
now
you
you're
we were
making
gonna
me
test
think.
him.
0.9999.
No.
No. He's like, hold on, I'll get you the right
no,
answer out of my
no.
brain.
Man, I haven't had to in so long because at this point it's all just halves or
yeah,
quarters, you know.
yeah.
Though I have to warn you, if you're ever in a deli, always order 1/4, never order 1/4, because I promise you, there are a lot of deli people out there. I unfortunately worked with one of these people because I'm the one that the customer complained to.
Are you talking about me?
No, this is back at the old job. We had a guy.
okay.
It was some like 18-year-old, never had a job before. This was his first job, and you could tell his parents made him get it. Type people, you know.
Yeah.
And
see a
this
lot of
customer kept
those.
complaining. He goes, "I ordered 1/4 of a pound." I'm like, "Okay," and he goes, and he hands me the thing. It was 0.42. The employee thought that 1/4 meant 0.4.
Oh no.
Fun fact, it doesn't. So always
So what
order
is
1/4.
What is 1/4?
1/4 is 1/4. It's
1.25.
0.25.
1.25. Yeah.
But if you order
$1
a
and
quarter,
quarters, yeah.
you know, if they
Yeah,
think quarter,
yeah.
they 25 cents. I got
Right,
this. If you order
right.
1/4, they think it's 0.4. If you order 1/6, you might get 0.6.
Oh my gosh.
Don't order 1/6, but you might get it that way. And
Who would
it's,
order 1/6?
Oh, they do.
Though.
oh yeah, there's crazy people.
Yeah.
How
I've
many
heard it.
slices is 1/6? Like 4?
Probably not even
No,
that.
no.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, because, I mean, the way it kind of works is, you know, you have about 5 slices as a 1/4 pound. So then 6 slices is probably about a third, usually 6 or 7.
1/6
So
is what?
1/6,
Like 0.29? What would 1/6 be?
well, 1/6 would have to be a lot smaller than 0.29.
Because 1/4 is 0.25.
Oh, sorry. I'm going
Right.
the other
so
way.
it'd be point
Yeah.
like 22.
This is why I
Yeah.
don't.
Well, see, that's what I mean. I
Meat.
would never say I want 1/6 of a pound. I would say, give me 4 slices.
Also, it's 0.16 because it's half of 30.
Yeah,
of
right.
33.
Thank you.
Took me a second to do the
Get
math.
yeah,
You saw
out, you guys.
my
are-
eyes
oh
rolling
my-
back in the
I
back of
went
my
the
head
other
as
way.
I'm doing the
Yeah.
math there.
I have no idea. This is why I took pre-algebra. That was the farthest I got in high school.
I think I had basic
Pre-algebra.
math my senior year.
I
No.
did.
I got
did
a little
basic.
farther
You
than
know,
that.
we
but
were lucky. Drew, it probably changed because you're a little bit younger than me.
Did you do Common Core?
No,
No.
I
Oh.
graduated before Common Core, but I was always
think-
above like the core classes
No, of
anyway.
course. Yeah.
I was
yeah.
usually like the
You were the AP classes.
I never did AP because those are the nerds that went to like Ivy League schools. I just went to the people
Hey, my
smarter
kids
than
are
the
in
norm-
AP. Stop it.
Or would you be disappointed your children go to an Ivy League school?
Yeah, because she can't pay for it.
Even with scholarships.
But no, I didn't do AP because those were the people that like took it super seriously. I wanted the challenge, but not
No.
the seriousness of it. You know,
Not in
I would get so
math.
bored
He
of my
wanted
math
the
classes.
challenge, but still wanted to be a smart aleck. He had
Yeah.
enough
Yeah.
time to be a smart aleck.
And so I was always like that year ahead in school. So I went
Mhm.
through, I think Calc 1 is where I finished high school.
Where
wound
did
up to,
what year did you graduate?
I don't know. Do you really want to know the answer to that?
Yeah.
Are you supposed to ask him that?
No, you can only ask me if I'm over 21. That's
You are over 21.
And can you lift 50 pounds?
yeah.
I know. Okay, so I graduated in the year 2000, and that was the last graduating class that you only had to have 2 math credits in high school.
Oh, you have to
After
have 4 by the
that-
time I graduated.
Right. After that, they changed it to 4. So I
So
got
you took
away.
one every year?
I didn't have to.
Yeah. But
Oh.
I was the last year.
They actually had
So,
that issue.
yeah.
There was one student who was homeschooled and then transferred. So by the time we were all in senior year, we were the highest level math classes
Right.
that the school offered, and he was a junior. They literally had to design a class for him because he had to graduate with 4
Oh,
Right.
credits. So they had to
Oh,
create
okay,
an
okay.
entire class for him just to
Yeah.
get that extra year.
Yeah.
Okay.
They also changed it because my sister, she graduated 3 years ahead of me. She only had to have 3.5 years of English. My graduating class was the first to start with 4.
Yeah, see, we had to have 4 years of
But
English.
no, if
Where
you
did you learn Spanish? In 4 years of high school?
3.5 because I got really mad at my Spanish teacher and yelled at him and quit his class and went to band
Did
instead.
you yell at him in
Oh.
Spanish?
No, I yelled at him in English. They didn't teach you how to curse in Spanish. I had to learn that at work.
That's where I learned all my
That's
Spanish.
not even a joke.
Was working at the restaurant. They'd call me things, and I was
Mm.
like, "Oh, they think I'm nice." No, and they'd be like, "No, bitch."
Let's see. Do your censors speak Spanish? What? No, and there's a couple times where I actually wound up having to use it at work too, because you'd always have someone that every now and then you'd have someone that was bilingual or didn't speak English natively, I should specify. And usually their children were with them to kind of act as a translator.
Yes.
But they had this, I don't want to say nasty tendency because it's just a human tendency, that they would always try to tell you the word thinner, but they didn't know the word thin. And so they would be like more, and try to like hold their hands up, but all you hear is more, so you think they mean
So
thicker.
they're just like scanning or slicing more. Oh, you want more?
No,
More.
because it was when I was showing them the slice. You cut that slice and you show it to them. Normally you'd be like, oh, how do you want that slice in? And there's that whole interaction. But when you could tell they didn't really speak English very strongly, you kind of skip that, just cut a slice and show it to them.
Yeah.
Just to make it easier for all parties involved. And they're like, no, more. And I'm like, so I cut it thicker because I thought they wanted it
They didn't say
thicker.
poquito?
No, because they just said more. They didn't know if I spoke Spanish.
Yeah.
And so they're just like, no, more. And I cut a thicker slice. I'm like, no, more. I'm like, and I just kind of looked at them like, de grada o gracia? I'm like, sí, de grada, por favor, gracias. And you just saw that look on their face like, you could have done this like 20 minutes ago, dude.
Oh, my God. You're like, here, eat this one. Okay, let me go back. Oh, wait, it's still too thick. Here,
For me,
eat
I
this
would have
one.
sliced 4 different, like, this
There's-
one, or this one.
There's some delis now that they actually kind of have like this board on their counter. And they basically like took a piece of rubber. They set it to a 1, they set it to a 2, they set it to a 3. And so you can they have the rubber out now, obviously not during COVID, because you could actually walk up and you could actually like feel the rubber for the thickness of it. So then you could say, oh, I want this as a
Genius.
1.
That is a good
Well,
idea.
I have never seen that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other stores do it.
Wow.
The other
The ones we
stores.
do on Thursdays.
You better get a patent pending on that.
Oh.
Yeah, those ones I think are the only ones I've ever seen it
Okay.
at.
I had
But
to
it-
think about that for a
it-
second. What stores do we do on Thursdays?
The other stores that we don't mention.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ones
Wow,
that I just buy lunch
incredible.
at all the time now.
Yeah.
Dude, I always buy something while I'm
I
there.
know.
Because they
Okay,
have
so we can
excellent
tell everybody, you guys
muffins.
go do price checks.
Yeah.
No, don't
you
tell
have to
anybody.
go
Now
do
they're going to be
price-
looking for us.
I mean, you say that, but I have the great excuse that to them I just look like a millennial because I walk into the store on my phone the
Yes.
entire time.
Yes.
I'll have like 4 group texts open. I'll start a conversation with someone just to have
Yes.
the excuse on my phone. Switched over to the email, typed in those price checks, went over,
Yeah.
pretended to take a selfie with some weird product when I'm actually using the forward-facing
Oh
camera
my
to take a picture of it.
God.
Sent it all off and
I
walked
never
out the
take
door.
the pictures. I don't do
Well,
it.
I think that was before you started working with us where we had to take the pictures. Now
Yeah.
we just need the prices.
Sometimes
Yeah.
they tell me take a picture and I go,
Oh no,
No.
you had to have been with us because it was
No.
right at the start of the COVID. They wanted
Yeah.
to see how full the cases were,
Mm-hmm.
and the terrible part was whenever they wanted the store we used to work at. I'm like, not happening. I do not care.
Yeah.
I'm not going to the old store.
No,
Somebody
you just
else
don't.
can
You
go.
just don't.
Yeah.
It's
I'd
just
go
out of
there.
respect of those
no,
that
but
still
you
work
know
there.
what? I would go there because I would be like, I'm here stealing your prices.
Yeah.
They
Everyone price checks.
It's at the store where I
Every
don't
single
know
company
people,
price checks.
where I'm all nervous and I'm like,
yeah,
just
it's
texting
funny.
my friend.
Everybody does it, but you know,
Yeah.
you still feel nervous going. I
Yeah.
never had any kind of conversations with anybody. I
No.
just went and did it.
I mean,
Yeah.
for me, it was always nervous because I've gotten kicked out of stores for taking pictures in the store we actually work in, where
Oh
I'm
my
required to
God.
take
Yep.
pictures.
I was
That's so
questioned a couple
funny.
times. Hey, what are you
the-
taking
So
pictures? I'm like,
funny.
I actually
Yeah.
work for you, or I work
Yeah.
with you. You
Yeah.
know.
The store by the airport that I gave you, because Meredith loved this store. She loved it. She's like, oh, that's my favorite store. I'm like, you can keep it. I don't want it. First time
So
I was
it's
in
funny.
that store.
They
So who
asked-
has it now? You have it?
They
Yeah.
asked
Good,
me.
good.
They were like, who are you? What are you doing? And I was like, oh, here's my name badge. And they were like, oh, okay. Now they know
But
who I am.
at the time, it was the company we work for now. Well, 2 out of the 3 of us do.
Yeah.
That we were really new into the
Yeah.
stores, and so none of them had heard of the company before. They didn't know who we were, and we really didn't know what we were doing. I mean, it was literally they threw a team together in like 2 months and
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
go take pictures of the 2 products that we have and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And so I get there and I talk to the MOD and I'm like, yeah, I work for this. So if you have any backstock, I can run it for you. He goes, no, we worked all our backstock. We're fine. I'm like, all right, I just got to go take a picture of the shelf, show you're full and didn't need help and I can be on the way. He goes, no, can't take any pictures. Get out of my store.
What the hell?
And I refused to go back. I never went back to that store until they had a store director meeting where they pulled all the store directors into that store. And so I got pulled for like the 2 days ahead of time to prep the store, make sure it looked all full. And the guy saw me in the store and he recognized me. And he starts walking towards me to kick me out again and then realizes that I'm talking to corporate
Yeah.
and just walked away.
Was that the time that you had to cook lunch and caught yourself on fire?
No.
What?
Twice.
What? What is
So
this
they-
story?
I can't believe I've never told you this one.
Oh
so
my god!
I forgot about that one.
I
Wow.
am not. I
So-
was there.
I didn't technically catch myself on fire.
Oh, okay.
I
It was
caught
like a
a
napkin.
giant stack of napkins on
yeah.
fire
Oh my god.
in front of the president of the entire
Oh
division
my god.
while wearing my name badge.
How'd you get yourself out of that one?
I don't know. So there was a huge store director meeting. It was the store directors and the co-directors. I mean, every MOD had to attend this
And
meeting.
I was there helping. And
Yeah.
someone walked up to him, a merchandiser, or,
Yeah,
you know,
it was
whatever,
another
and
company.
said, "Hey, how are you with cooking? What are you doing for the next 2 hours?" He was like, "Ugh," because we had probably been there at 3 a.m. or
Yeah.
something.
And I mean, this was like the third day because
Yeah,
they
we
never
were like, we
you
were
never prep a
done.
store the day of for a walk.
Right.
It's always a long
Right.
process.
of course, yeah, you have to make it right.
And so they came up, and because the really annoying thing, because it was another company, and it was their product we were cooking because they were rolling it out into stores. It was a new item for the deli, and so they cooked it up.
well, they wanted it done right, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, it was product that we didn't represent.
Yeah.
But they wanted it done right because obviously he does.
But
it
I mean,
right.
and the people that worked for that product were there as well. They were the main ones in the kitchen, but they just needed an extra hand. And so I felt like super important because I'm like, ooh, I got to put the chef coat on for the first time because
Oh
I never
my
had to wear those before.
God.
And so I had the chef coat on, and I'm sitting there and we're prepping everything. The fun part about that story is we had like, okay, lunch starts at 12 noon on the dot. We'll have everything cooked and ready. It'll be nice and fresh at 12. And then someone comes in and is like, oh, so the meeting's taking a while. It probably won't be ready until like 1 o'clock.
Oh, that's
my
right.
God.
So all the food was already being cooked. So it was just sitting in hot holding for an hour. And we're like, we're going to serve this to the most important people in this company. And it's an hour old.
Oh my god.
So for some of the stuff, we actually wound up cooking a new
yeah.
batch up to make sure it was fresh because it's stuff that would have gone older faster. But there's some of it that's kind of like, it's kind of in water and it's steamed. It was fine
And they had
to
a big
hold.
tent set up in the back.
Oh, yeah, they had a
and-
huge
What the
tent
heck?
Yeah, it was
outside.
a big event.
Yeah. And
Did they
so-
feed you guys?
No.
No. Of course not.
We're not
We're
important.
nothing.
They were
I
like,
mean-
y'all can have some pizza.
Officially, no. But what do you think happened to the first batch of food we made? And I think half of it was brought by the other company anyway, so the store didn't pay for the food, so they really didn't care. And so whatever we didn't eat, we just threw in the break room for everybody else to
Yeah.
eat. Because that was also the same time that I made my monkey bread too. The first time I made the monkey
Ooh.
bread, and I brought the monkey bread in. Because I was the first day I was working, I was talking about, I'm like, oh, I finally got my grandmother's monkey bread recipe. I was so excited to try it. The deli manager's like, so where is it? Like, I can't bring it back here. You can't have food that's not product in the back of a kitchen. She goes, but where is it?
Yeah.
So I went home that night and I made a monkey bread and I brought it in the next morning. And, you know, as there's thousands of corporate people walking around, I'm walking, you know, they all walk through and they're like, they just see this bowl with aluminum foil on the top and they're like, what is this? I'm like, I was told it was monkey bread. And they kind of peel the foil back, they rip a piece off and they eat it and they're like, oh, that's really good, and just walk away. So what I learned is you can't have food in the back unless it's good.
Unless it's good.
If it's
Wait,
good
talk about the
food-
fire.
Yeah, but anyways, so that was the same
Back
time.
to the fire.
So we get done cooking and we load up all these carts, and we unfortunately the kitchen is on the literal opposite side of the store of the door that leads out to the tent. So we get out to the tent and they have all like the catering tray set up and all those sterno lamps, you know.
The sterno lamps.
And now I'd like to preface this with I was specifically told if the fire department shows up, cover the sternos and pretend we don't have them.
oh my god.
Because you're not allowed to have open sterno lamps under a tent.
Oh my god.
For the following reason. It was a very windy day, and the tent was one of those ones you'd see now during COVID. You know how they have like the walls on them, but the
Yes.
one wall was missing because that's the door that everybody walked in at, and that's where they set up the food. And so I was farthest on the left, so closest to the door. And so we kind of set it up in the way you would expect. You know, you have your plates, napkins, and silverware or plasticware all at the start, and then just went down the line in cafeteria style.
Yeah.
We put the food on the plate. And now I assumed, I know, evil thing to do, right? But I assumed that maybe the store directors would figure out the reason why the plates were on top of the napkins and not next to it. Because it was a windy day, the wind kept blowing. I put the heavy stack of plates on top of the napkins to stop the wind from blowing them. So about the third store director was like, picked it up and put it on the side next to him. About 5 store directors later, a wind gust comes in, blows like the top 14 napkins off the stack
Oh no.
underneath the pans into the sterno, and just this erupting fire ensues. And I'm like, crap, and I'm sitting there trying to pat it out because I know you can't blow out a sterno. So I'm like, what am I going to do? And I finally get it out, and I look up, and the president of the division is standing right in front of me with his plate ready for food. And I'm like,
You're like,
Be
hey,
cool.
hey,
Be
at least I
cool.
didn't burn the
so,
place
you know,
down.
he just kind of looks at me. I'm like, would you like some whatever I was
You're
serving?
like chicken or beef.
I think I had the falafel actually. I'm like, oh, would you like some falafel, sir? But the thing was, I didn't know that's who it was. That's where the story gets really fun because he kind of goes through and he goes and sits at the table, which I'd like to point out, the closest table to where I'm standing. So he's got the front row
He's
view
keeping his eye on
when the
you.
napkins
he is.
blow in the second time and light on fire again. And he's just sitting there, and so I talk to the person next to me. I'm like, yeah, the guy at the table there. I'm like, is that this guy? And she's like, no, it's the other guy. I'm like, yeah, the guy that's standing up right now. She's like, yeah, that's this guy. I'm like, ah, crap.
Like I almost burned the whole place down.
I gotta tell you, I
You
have
wanted
made
grilled
some
falafel.
impressions on corporate people. Let me tell you, because it was the first store we ever grand opened, Meredith, and there was the VP of the kind of the mini division, but I didn't know that's who she was. That's important. But it's a grand opening, so you got every corporate person imaginable in that store, right?
Yeah.
And so the way it works is during the grand opening, you couldn't park in the store, right? You couldn't park in the lot.
In the lot, right.
You had a separate lot that you had to park in, and they had a shuttle bus that would shuttle you in. I don't know if you've done a grand opening with us yet,
no,
Cass.
no.
But during grand opening, you are not allowed to park in the parking lot.
What
That
the
is for
hell? Because it's just so packed.
So
a lot of
packed.
it's so
Yeah.
packed, and there's so many vendors and employees that are coming in from other stores. So you have a designated lot, and they would shuttle you. And this was the worst shuttle we've had out of 4 grand openings. This is the worst one. The one of them you literally just played Frogger, went across the street, and you were there. It was great. But this one, it was about a 20-minute drive. They had 2 shuttles.
Oh
and
my
that was
God,
it.
a 20-minute drive.
So you were
from
waiting.
a parking
Because
lot?
it was in a suburb of the city. So it was. I mean, I got out when I got done with work. It was usually like 5 o'clock, and so you had the rush hour traffic.
Right.
And so it was at least 20 minutes. But if the buses would leave at like 5 o'clock. As soon as they were full, they would leave, or at top or half of the hour. And so I got off of work at 5, which means I didn't leave the store until about 5:05, and that shuttle bus was gone. So I had to wait 20 minutes for the next bus to get there.
Oh God.
And then 20 minutes for the ride to get to the work. So I
God.
then
You
had
didn't
like
even
an
leave
hour
till
and
6
15 minute.
o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah, I would
Oh.
got in my car shortly before 6. It was terrible. And so it was a cold day too. I want to say it was probably like March or April. I mean,
Probably.
it still had that bitter chill to it.
Mm-hmm.
And possibly a little bit of rain too, I think. And I think it was spritzing that day, and that's why this person waited inside. But I'm waiting outside like a noob. And so I'm waiting outside in this bus, like right when this person walks up, the shuttle bus gets there. And I look at her sarcastically and snarkily, as is my personality, looked at her and said, couldn't you have walked out 15 minutes ago? I've been waiting for this bus for like half an hour. And she just kind of looks at me and laughs, and we get on the bus. Now, I'd like to point out, I don't remember if this is the same day, but these buses were so packed. There was a dude. Now, I'm 6'4". This guy is easily 4 inches taller than me, laid down on the floor of the bus so he didn't have to wait for the next one.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, huge dude. And so we're in the bus, and she's talking to the guy that I knew to be the produce manager, and she's yelling at him.
Oh no.
She's going, you shouldn't be working all these hours because that's why we can't get managers to work grand open stores. They see you working 15-hour days, and they don't want to do it. You need to take more time off. You need to work shorter shifts. I'm like, who is this chick that she's yelling at the manager? She is not the store director. And so the next day I see her, and she's one of the most chill people, though. They had the cafe in the store, and they put the chairs up onto the tables every night. And she sees it, and she goes, oh, well, we can't have that. The chairs have to be down. The store's open. And so rather than doing the corporate thing I'm used to seeing of going and tracking down every other person in the store, yelling at them, why are these chairs not down? She literally just walked up, put all the chairs on the floor, didn't mention it to anybody, and walked away.
Yeah.
She was that kind of a woman, which was fantastic. And so I think this actually was the day she was taking the chairs down. I looked at the deli manager. I'm like, hey, who is that?
Who is that?
And he goes and he tells me her name. And I'm like, yeah, but like,
What does she
But
do?
who is
Who
that?
is? Yeah, what's her title?
and he goes, oh, she's the VP of all 44 or 41
yeah.
stores.
Yep.
God.
And I'm like, crap.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, why? I'm like, I may or may not have said something yesterday I shouldn't have said.
You know, I just talk shit to everybody I meet. So.
Yeah, basically. I'm like, during the shuttle ride, I assumed she was a VIP. What I didn't realize was the eye was optional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this the one that was full on makeup, nails, always dressed?
Yeah.
Was that her?
Yeah, that one.
I think she had a team that went with her. Then they sat in their car, and when she needed a refresh on her makeup or like broke a nail, she would go out to her car, come back, and she'd be back to being
every
perfect.
single nail this
She
week
left
at
the
work.
But
company
she
years
worked,
ago, so
yeah.
you never met her. But
Oh.
She was one of those.
Always
she,
looked perfect. I was like, yep, I want to be you.
And always did her
like
job
she was.
good.
She always had that physical appearance. She was always on point.
Like you knew she was somebody.
Yeah.
But
Which surprises me that you didn't know she was.
Well, it's because I was used to our old job where you knew who they were based on what kind of clothing they were wearing. The clothing you wore identified you. Whereas in this store, especially at that time, everyone wore the same exact thing.
Yeah, that's very true.
And so I had no idea who she was. And it was, this was like 3 weeks after I got hired because we did the 2 weeks of those meal sets and then it was right into grand opening.
Yeah.
Which was
she
also
great.
when I met our boss, which was one of the funniest stories I have with our company.
I've still never met our boss.
I got hired. Okay, so maybe not as funny as that. But
thank you, pandemic.
I haven't met him face to face. I've only seen him over video.
I didn't even, when I got hired, we didn't even have, back in my day,
makes
we
me
didn't even
laugh.
have video. And so he was in Arizona when I got hired because he was in the process of moving up to Wisconsin. And so he still had a house in Arizona and was still moving. So he was in Arizona during all of my interviews. And the way our job works, we don't go into an office.
Right.
We go into our stores.
Right.
And so we're in this grand opening and I see him with a shirt on with our company's logo on it. And I go to the back, I'm like, Meredith? She's like, yeah. I'm like,
Who is this
who's
guy?
this dude out there talking to the deli manager? She looks at the window. She goes, oh,
That's
that's
the boss.
so-and-so. I'm like, who? She's like, our boss. I'm like, oh. So I walk out the door and look at him like, hi, I'm Drew. I work for you. Nice to meet you. And the deli manager's just like, have you two never met before?
That was years ago.
Yeah, that was
No pandemic during that time.
Yeah, what's up with that?
That would have been 2017, 2018.
That's just how it is now. I mean,
2017.
that's how my interview was for this job. 4 people. It was 2
Yeah.
hours long, and I just sat in front of a computer screen. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know. Times have changed.
Yeah.
So crazy.
There's a lot of people on my team that haven't even met their boss. It's been over a year. So it's the same thing. Yeah. Well,
so
this
crazy.
has been amazing. This
Are
is
we done?
amazing. We're done.
I want
Holy
more.
cow.
All right.
I want
Should we just
more.
like double this episode or what? We are like well over time. So if you got more stories, I'll keep going. We can
Oh my
make it
God.
I'm
2
sure I
weeks.
have
We
more.
need a break. I gotta go pee.
More to come in part 2.
I have
You
to
go.
go pee.
All right, you go. Let's say bye to everybody.
Bye.
Drew, thanks so much.
Thanks,
This was so
Drew.
fun. We have to have you back again
Yeah.
for sure.
I'll have to have the less appropriate conversations once you stop recording. 'cause
Yeah,
my
for
God.
sure.
oh man, the deli manager. Oof. I had the best customer. But I definitely cannot get away with saying that on the podcast.
All
So we'll have to stop
we'll
recording
have to
for that
we'll
one.
have to listen to it and then we'll have to figure out a way to edit it in.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I'll also have to make sure I work with Cass because I have never driven around Chicago and seen a guy peeing through his pants.
Dude,
So I don't know
for
what you're doing.
real.
I don't have any issues.
You know what? It's Kayla.
It must be. I mean,
It's
you say
Kayla.
that. I was driving with Kayla, listening to the podcast because it was ironically the podcast where you were referencing a movie, and you're like, "Oh, you know who would know? Kayla would know." And we're listening to that podcast. I paused it and said, "Do you know the name of the movie?" She's like, "I have no idea what they're talking about." I hit play, and they're like, "I bet you Kayla would know." I'm like, "Turns out you didn't."
No more assumptions on this podcast.
Oh, that's funny.
Forget it.
That's funny.
Well, happy episode 11.
Yes.
Thank you to everyone
Yay.
that's listening. We are over 1,000 downloads.
Yay.
I cannot believe it.
Hey, and I tried to get a local radio station out here to
I
plug
know
our
you did.
podcast.
I know you did. I got to check and see if they
never
added it.
said anything on the radio about it, but they did say they were going to put a link on their website.
So we'll share that when we see it.
yes,
Amazing.
hopefully.
This is it, man. We're going to be
Hopefully.
famous.
We are famous.
Thanks,
All right.
everybody. Talk to you
Love you
next
guys.
week.
Bye.
Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by NameTag Productions, LLC. Entire podcast, unless otherwise stated, written by the hosts. Drums, written and performed by my son Steven. The Clopen Effect, a retail podcast. If we have to be all in this together, we might as well make it fun.